Remember a few weeks ago in Super Wildcard Weekend when I told you that the Chiefs not having home field advantage was a non-story? Well, I clearly was right, because they comfortably went into Baltimore in a decently hostile environment and comfortably came away with the win. I don't think there was ever a time where Kansas City wasn't actually in control or in fear during this game. And so I've also said leading up to the playoffs that inexperience and comfortability was going to be the thing that separated teams in the playoffs. There is still a huge monkey on the back of basically any AFC quarterback not named Patrick Mahomes. He is the most unbelievable player that I have ever seen in my lifetime on a football field. No, I didn't see Elway. No, I didn't see Marino. But a lot of folks who are much more experienced than me and have lived a longer life than me are in the same camp. So before I continue to jump into it, I'm going to tell you why the Kansas City Chiefs are essentially the New England Patriots for this upcoming generation. Because if you're a fan, you're watching that and there is so many parallels. So I'm going to pause here. Would appreciate a subscribe, a like, appreciate any support that you have for the channel to kind of boost me up in the algorithm. So this video is not going to be as tailored as it normally is, because I want to get right to the facts and basically talk about the immaturity of the Baltimore Ravens. They looked completely outside of themselves from A to B on both sides of the ball. It was clear that Lamar Jackson, who talked about the pressure going up into the game, which I thought was a red flag. I mean, I get wanting to cut through the noise and not just, you know, come out and say, you know, all of the cookie cutter things. But with Lamar saying that there is this level of pressure, it concerned me. Because why is he letting that get out there? And I mean, if it's in the forefront of his mind enough for him to kind of spill that to the media, saw it as a red flag then, see it as a red flag now, obviously, you know, with the way that the game ended. But what I will say is that throughout the game, it felt like he never got comfortable. It felt like he was overthinking every throw. His footwork on certain plays looked really, really disjumbled and in a way we just haven't seen all season. You know, I felt like the defense for Baltimore, you know, they were obviously the only thing keeping Baltimore in that game. I mean, the time of possession difference between both of those teams was pretty significant all the way up until the first half. I don't know what the numbers looked like in the second half, but I mean, for Zay Flowers to get that, for him to get that penalty, the taunting penalty, which was pretty, I mean, it was pretty outlandish, right? Like it was a pretty legitimate penalty, I thought. So for him to follow that up with then, you know, fumbling the ball, which, you know, we've seen plays like that happen, you know, Antoine Winfield making those type of plays on the goal line. You have Snead doing that to Zay Flowers, right? There was this level of entitlement from Flowers that you saw. It's just a lack of self-awareness. It's a lack of being there before. Patrick never looked rattled. Kelsey never looked rattled. The defense never looked rattled. I was surprised to see that Lamar didn't, you know, he didn't want to run. It was really bizarre. It was like he was overthinking every possession and he just wanted to deliver. And so because of that, he took a massive step backwards. And then you also have Zay Flowers, right? He goes and he makes these big plays and he still doesn't have the wherewithal not to go on the sideline and smash his hand and his helmet. And then at the end of the game, you have OBJ being the one who's consoling dudes. I mean, I am old enough to remember when OBJ was on a New York Giants sideline kicking a kicking net and then proposing to it after. I mean, that just shows you how far some of these dudes have to go in order to be legitimate. And yeah, I mean, I think that overall, you saw the coaching discrepancies. You saw the differentiation in defensive play calling. Steve Spagnuolo, once again, putting on a masterclass of what it looks like to be a championship team on defense. And you also have the Kansas City wide receivers making plays we haven't seen them make all year. For them to do the final game of the final play of the game, for them to throw it to Marquez Valdez-Scantling, who, shout out USFer. I mean, for the type of track record that he had all season long, to put the faith in him, it just shows these guys have been there before and they weren't worried whatsoever. On to the next topic. So the other thing I want to chat through is, like, Mina Kimes pointed out earlier in the season, my ring light keeps falling. She put early, I think it was like a week or two ago, she talked about how the public has turned on the Chiefs. And I don't know what it is, but I felt that too on a personal level, right? I find that people who are coming and are starting to watch football, who haven't been watching it for 20 years, essentially, what they're seeing, and they're getting that feeling that you used to feel with the Patriots, right? It's just, you just detest it, right? Like, football's supposed to be a sport with a ton of parity, and for the same team to be coming out of the AFC every year and to look like a different team, right? I mean, now the Chiefs are better on defense for the first time in the Mahomes era, and so that's scary, right? They continue to iterate and develop year after year. And so I think there's just now become, you know, this unlikability with Kelsey, right? He's coming off cockier than he ever has. You know, I also feel like Patrick's inner circle is not super likable. You know, you have the whole Taylor Swift narrative that I think football fans are completely tired of. And, you know, now we know they're going to go to the Super Bowl. It's going to be this whole, you know, other storyline that I think football fans are just, like I said, completely just over it. But yeah, man, there is massive parallels. I think you have to wonder, I mean, is Baltimore going to be back? Baltimore is always going to be formidable. We know that they have one of the better and stable owners. We know that the organization is first class, but I think if you remember back to the AFC Championship game, I think it was, you know, right before Tom Brady left the Patriots, he goes and he plays the Chiefs, and, you know, D Ford lines up offsides. They end up beating the Chiefs, and you see, okay, the Chiefs are just going to go back and learn from that mistake, and then they continue to build on it. I don't know what type of impact this is going to have on the Baltimore Ravens. I'm not exactly sure that they're going to have this type of prolific run, but there is no doubt that there is going to be a legitimate look in the face of each and every guy who really let that team down. And yeah, I mean, you feel for Lamar Jackson, but ultimately he just didn't play up to his level and his standard of football. And tell me why the guy barely ran the ball. All right, folks, on to the Detroit Lions and 49ers game. See you next time. Hit the subscribe button and the like, I would appreciate it.